Better do a video. It's a bloody hard video actually. Most of you are well aware of what's happening across the Tasman in Australia, New South Wales and Queensland. They've got huge infernos, and as one of the, I think it was a fireman said, it's spring, which is highly unusual for their fires, but their fires are something that they can't get their heads around, as the ferocity, the scale, the speed, everything is so unnormal from these fires. But I'm just sitting here and I'm going to show you something. When you start looking, and I've been looking at this for nearly 10 years, and you read the likes of that. Aluminium dust from geoengineering fueling super wildfires, according to author. I'll just take you back to a post that I've been posting quite a few times over a number of years, since 2016. A little bit hard to see, but what you're looking at is a satellite image of New South Wales. This is on the April the 16th, 2016. What we're looking at, all in here, you can see these white lines. I've gone over and over this numerous times. It's probably one of the best images I've found, as it's only one image per day at one particular moment of the day. But what these trails are, media like to have you believe it's condensation trails. Well, I'll tell you what, it's far from condensation trails. You just got to have a look at the likes of Welshback seeding patent. Here we have it. And what it says in here, stratospheric Welshback seeding for reduction of global warming. There's those magic words, global warming. Such materials, such materials also include Welshback materials and the oxides of metals, right? Oxides of metals. Now, we would go over here and it says, one technique proposed to seed the metallic particles was to add the tiny particles to the fuel of the jet airliners, so that the particles would be emitted from the jet engine exhaust while the airliner was at air cruising altitude. You can go through the patent, and one thing you find over here, the method of clean rah, it mentions aluminium oxide. Well, I'll just show you something. Right here, I've got aluminium oxide. This is not the nano particulate crap that they're putting in the fuels, but this is going to give you a good idea of why these forests are burning so damn ferociously and so large. And this is not just locally, New Zealand, Australia, this is globally. Here we go with a little demonstration on what happens when aluminium oxide comes to a flame. See it liven up. You can see that flame chasing up to the container. Still burning when it's still just dropping. So next time you see these white trails, you just watch it spread out and spread out. So just imagine all your paddocks, all your ground, all your bush, all your trees, everything has got a slight coating of this crap. It doesn't disappear when it rains, it doesn't dissolve. It stays there and slowly builds up, so when you get a ignition source somewhere, even if it's a farmer with a plough, is it any wonder that when the fires take hold, they run, they sprint across the ground, up the trees, through every bloody thing. So there we have it, the dispersal, aluminium oxide, highly possibly in these trails, aerosol trails, whatever you want to call it, chemtrails, you type it and you find the word conspiracy tied with it, purposely done for those, just to go no further. So there you go, you're just seeing what happens when aluminium oxide is added to ignition, to a fire that's already burning. So all it takes is one little fire. If that starts off, gets into the foliage of the trees, of the ground, whatever, it's going to be Roman candles all over. We'll just take a little look at some snippets out of some clippings that I've got. This is from 2018. While researching for his new novel, author discovered an alarming link between chemtrails and the super wildfires. I love that word, super. We go down here, a retired USAF Brigadier General Charles Jones has been quoted from a public source as stating, "These white aircraft spray trails are the result of scientifically verifiable spraying of aluminium particles and other toxic heavy metals, polymers and chemical." Just remember, next time you see these trails in the sky, if anything, they should be like that. But what you see are these big long ones extending and creating a bloody cloud cover. And then just think when the sun goes down, sunrise, sunset, isn't it funny how we're seeing all these odd colourings, these, especially evening when the sun's going down, the glare can be absolutely blinding when you're driving towards it. We'll go down here, millions of tonnes of aluminium and barium are being sprayed almost daily across the US. Even though they mention US, it's happening here. Just sprinkle aluminium or barium dust on a fire and see what happens. Well, you're just seeing what happens. It's nearly explosive. When wildfires break out, the aluminium and the barium dust results in levels of fire intensity so great as to cause firefighters to coin a new term, firenadoes, he said. According to a California fire operation chief, Steve Crawford, the fires are burning differently and more aggressively. I wonder why. With years and years of this crap going up, everything comes down. I've done 5 rain tests myself here in New Zealand and 4, one in Australia. Every one of them shows aluminium and barium. We actually had high levels of barium here in New Zealand. But if you speak to your EPAs or your bloody ECANs or whatever they are, the alphabet groups, of course they'll give you some level that's, oh, it's okay to have it. But I'll tell you what, it's not okay. Whatever's in the air is also in you. You're breathing, you're inhaling this crap. Another article. Fires burn hotter with nanometals and chemtrails. The dangerous thing about chemical reactions to fire is the fact that they are self-perpetrating. The heat of the flame itself keeps the fuel at the ignition temperature, so it continues to burn as long as there is fuel and oxygen around it. The flame heats in surrounding fuel, so it releases gases as well. When the flames ignite the gases, the fire spreads. Highly bloody destructive. Fire is probably the most horrendous thing. And when you see something being laid, nothing mentioned, or when mentioned is bullshit, No way. Truth needs to get out. Doing a bit of hunting, trying to find out what fuel our airlines, Air New Zealand, Qantas, what a lot of them change. Anyway, I didn't actually purchase the book, but there is a book out there called that. Environmental Change and the National Security. The interesting thing in there was to do about fuels. And it says the biofuel process technology was actually developed in 2007 under a contract from the US DARPA to produce renewable JP-8 fuel for the US military. Since then, ongoing demonstration flights have been undertaken using Boeing Air New Zealand. Now, interesting thing is, when you look at the JP-8 fuel, we take a wee gander at this chart. And what we see here, aluminium at the top of the list. JP-8 fuel, we look at the content, 9,360 parts per billion. So that's the JP-8 fuel. So, is Air New Zealand using JP-8 fuel? Don't know. I've seen a lot of people saying about the brush burning, like burning off all the crap on the ground so these fires don't go rank. Yes, I do believe that has a lot to do with it, as it's got a lot of fuel left on the ground, but that's probably been left there for a reason. Everything, all this dust, incendiary dust that comes down, settles in those trees, high up, all over, everywhere. As Dan Wigington said, which if you want to check out a damn excellent website, geoengineeringwatch.org. Dan Wigington has more or less stopped his life to concentrate on one thing, this above you, which is affecting you and everything around you. He mentions about geoengineering operations not only cutting off precipitation from the US, blah blah blah, and destroying the ozone layer. Globally, the desiccant particulates from the fallout create an incendiary dust that coats the foliage of the trees, bush and your land. Everything, structures included. So when these fires do take hold, mate, sit back and just watch it, because you got sweetie fake control of putting these things out. You just got to let it burn out. We've got some words here from Mark McCandlish. Mark McCandlish, I could listen to him for bloody hours. He's an aviation retired from the USAF, and what he goes on to say, now as if that weren't bad enough, with aluminium being a conductor of electricity, spraying countless microscopic sized particles into the sky does something else you might not have considered. It dramatically increases the electrostatic potential of the air, that is, its ability to conduct electricity. So those storm clouds that always seem to follow heavy chemtrailing are primed to produce more lightning strikes. Get it? So what happens when you get the lightning strikes, you get the fires also. It's incredible. But yeah, I'm as curious as buggery to know about this JP-8 fuel. High content aluminium. Somewhere, here's just 3 of the tests that I've done. Independent lab in Christchurch. It's got the numbers there, but if you actually want a good New Zealand website, Northland New Zealand Chemtrail Watch, Rangitiki Environmental Health Watch, huge page, huge website with many pages on many topics, including geoengineering. But a funny thing, on the last rain test that I'd done, which is September 2017, I also specified sulphur, because the last 2-3 years and this year, more or less the same time, I think it was a week this year, of when I done the test, we had this yellow crap everywhere, and I mean everywhere. It was showing up in places that shouldn't have been showing up. Sulphur. And I've got other articles there about sulphur dioxide being used, and it's whether they are using it to create different pressure in the air, don't know. But this yellow crap it came down with the rain in the morning, next morning. Here it was on the edge of the puddles. You just see this light, faint, I don't know, line of crap all over the cars, everything. And I've seen reports even as far to the Nelson. Pollen bullshit, I do not believe it. I've had my doubts about it the whole time. I'm 50 years old, I've never seen it. And all of a sudden, boom, boom, boom. There it goes. As the t-shirt says, what in the world are they spraying? If you haven't seen that video, go out there and check it out. A great book out there for those of you who like to read. Be sure to check out Ilana Freeland's Chemtrails Harp and the Full Spectrum Dominance of Planet Earth. Incredibly good book. It'll give you a bloody good insight as to what's going on. Turn off the gas. All the water's evaporated and the aluminium still there. So now we'll just remove them, turn it back on. So now we're back into flame. So this is what was soaked. As you can see, it's back to powder form. No dissolving in the water. And still full of life. So the only way to get rid of that, burn it.